Hey, what's up, guys? It's Guildspire here, and welcome back to Champions of the Fog. I am Mark, aka Guildspire, and today I am joined by All4 Domo, who is going to be co-hosting with me for the We Can't Loop versus Deadheads game. This is Division 1, Round 2 of Season 1 of COTF. And Domo, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been good weather today, except for some really weird rain that came out of nowhere for like 2 minutes and left. I don't know. Weather.
Yeah, you know, it do be like that. It is, can be rather fickle. But,
Yeah.
hey, you know, on the bright side, at least it gives you more time to be on inside and, you know, play some Dead by Daylight, right?
Exactly. On the forecast today, we've got We Can't Loop and Deadheads.
Fair enough, and very happy to be here, very happy to have you back again. With that being said, we are going to be privy to some pretty fun matchups today if We Can't Loop and Deadheads over on Wrecker's Yard, followed by Mount Ormond Resort. What are your predictions today, Domo? What are we expecting to see?
On Wreckers, I mean, it's a pretty good map for something like Agitation, and honestly, if you get someone into the basement and Wreckers in the very central of the map, you can have so much control as a killer. I know we saw a bunch of like Huntress games yesterday, I think, from what I remember seeing, and it's just so privy to that. Like, honestly, against a really good team, you could probably expect 2K. But if it's like just a good or a decent team, you could probably get a 4K pretty easily if you get that basement hook early or on a hill, and you can just camp out an entire area. If you have a 3-gen, it just becomes a nightmare. On Ormond, though, that is such a large map. I think you need someone with mobility. So we'll see what killers they bring up for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, really great points overall. We saw, I think, maybe two matches of Huntress yesterday on Wreckers in Division 2 Round 1. So I would not be surprised to see that in the slightest here again on Wreckers Yard between Deadhead and We Can't Loop. So honestly, really good stuff overall. We saw some really good usage of the basement through and through in all of our matches yesterday. So I fully expect to see something similar today, starting off on Wreckers. And then once we move into Mount Ormond, I mean, a lot of people would fight me on this and say that Blight would be, you know, not bad choice there. But
it's questionable.
It is questionable. It's hard to play Blight on that map because it can be very hit and miss if you don't know how to really navigate some of the slide locations. Exactly. But otherwise, you know, he can get around pretty quickly. Otherwise, we could see Nurse. We saw High Surveillance last season absolutely dominate with Nurse and result in a 4K on 0-gen. So who knows? Maybe we might see something like that again.
I think exactly. I think it has to be like a Nurse or a Blight, honestly, because really you need map pressure. It's so massive. And Blight, you have to be very confident. Again, like I said, the bump logic on that map can sometimes be frustrating. Like, I know I can hit off this like specific snow pile 8 times out of 10, but there's that one time where you just slide off and you can miss it down because of that, and it can be massive. So yeah, it's frustrating with Blight. I would just say maybe stick with your guts and what you're thinking and what you're confident with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's really where it comes down to. I know for myself, I played a ton of Blight and ended up on Ormond way too many times. So like for me, I actually really like Ormond with Blight because I actually know where I can slide, and sometimes those slide spots really just catch those survivors way off guard because like, oh, there's like 10 park benches between me and this Blight. I'm fine, like, and that's where you're wrong.
I've done that a couple times. Like, I see that fire barrel in between like 5 benches. Let me just slide off all those, hit the fire barrel, and then just smack them down. They're gonna be like, I must be safe here. Yeah, no, I get that. It's very funny to see happen, but from the survivor and the killer perspective, if you're not expecting it, it can feel like, what just happened? Is this game functioning?
Yeah, 110%. And I think that's really where it comes down to whenever someone comes up to me and goes, how do I get better at Blight? Map knowledge, map knowledge, map knowledge. What can you bounce off of? What will you slide off of? what do you need to be aware of when it comes to RNG spots. Like, if you can figure that out and get really good with your full arm flicks, then you're in a really good spot as a Blight main overall.
Oh, yeah. I'd say on Ormond, the only really consistent thing is sometimes main building and the trees, but everything else, and a few like the loops like jungle gyms and whatnot, but the snow piles and benches and different little rocks, they can all have different divots in them and they can all throw you off. So we'll see what they bring out, because they may not even bring out a Blight. We might not see one today, but I kind of have a sneaking suspicion we will.
You're not wrong, It's definitely going to be interesting. So outside of what we're seeing today, I will note something that kind of threw me off for a loop when I logged in just now. I'm not sure if you noticed it too, but rank reset hit on the 12th and not the 13th.
It hit early. I have two of my friends actually messaged me probably like 10 minutes before it started, like, yo, we're Ash rank right now, bro. So,
yeah. It threw me for a loop. I was like, wait 1 second, what's today's date? It looked down like, no, it's definitely the 12th, not the 13th. So not sure if that's going to be a new thing that they're doing on the 12th or on like this last Sunday before, or what.
They're breaking a sacred holiday, or a tradition, I should say. It's always been the 13th, but now I guess, I don't know. Maybe they just made a mistake. I wouldn't put it past them. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? It would not surprise me in the slightest. But that being said, I'm excited for tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to be streaming all tomorrow, and I'm going to be taking on the Hardcore Killer Challenge, since now we've got MMR and full rank reset. So created my second account, have that up and running. The funny thing is, I was talking about this with my community on Friday, that the Hardcore Killer Challenge with MMR might actually be easier than it was prior.
Why do you think that exactly?
So here's my strategy. I'm gonna run Bubba from the beginning, get Barbecue and Chili unlocked, because, you know, can never have too many blood points, not to mention info perk. But
it helps you.
The thing is, let's play 40 matches of Bubba, get to top 5% MMR, you know, actually smash my way through to, let's say, rank 10 or whatever that is now, right?
Right.
And let's say I lose Bubba, and now I decide to play Huntress. My MR is 0 now.
True, so then you're gonna get some worse survivors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it confirmed by them that it's individual MMR based on the killer?
Yes, it is confirmed, at least based on what they were talking about prior, where it was said in the dev updates. So I'm not sure what it's going to look like now to going forward, if maybe that has since changed. To be fair, when talking about MMR for killer and survivors, we still don't know what the base data they've used for MMR. Whether they set us all to 0, whether they used data that goes back 6 months. You know, we have no clue what the foundation of MMR is. And to be fair, from what I'm seeing, surprisingly, a lot of the naysayers from MMR are kind of happy right now. They're like, okay, this is okay. I'm okay with where it is. So it is interesting to see how MMR will continue to develop as time goes on.
Yeah, I'm also very interested to see what exactly happens. Honestly, I think my MMR on most of my killers has been, like, pretty high, but I don't know when they kind of exactly took it again, because I took a break from killer for a good, like, few months when I was just playing Survivor a ton and did a lot of comp. So I came back and I'm like, I wonder where my MMR is at now. They must have had to go way back to collect that data.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That is 110% sure. I still wish that they would at least provide some information of what exactly is counted as a win or a loss. But real quick, I do believe Fielacito has some information for us.
I do. The builds are all good to go. If you can just stream it to.
Yep. Oh yeah, thank you. Almost forgot about the Discord. That would be a wee bit important, wouldn't it? Just a tiny bit.
I'll be casting blind here, bro.
I actually will not lie. I will not say names, but it would not be the first time. I actually had a co-host with me not realize that I was streaming it to Discord and was watching off of the full minute delay on stream. They're like, I'm like, dude, you know I had it in Discord, right? Oh.
Well, at least I'm a bit more versed than that. I've had a bit more experience.
Hey, we all start somewhere, right? So mistakes can happen.
Exactly.
But with that being said, very excited to start off this first round right here, and we are good to go.
Hello, a Quentin. I love it.
Quentin boy?
Goated your goat. My goodness. I haven't seen a Quentin in COD, bro.
Well, you know what's interesting? I'm not sure if you heard it. Have you played against a Jonathan yet?
Yeah, a few times in pubs, but not much. It's very rare.
Well, so have you played against them since the most recent update with the audio file?
No, I don't think
Dude,
I have,
the
no.
new Quentin or the new Jonathan scream and sounds literally threw me for a huge loop.
Really? Is
Yeah.
that much different?
Well, I hooked to Jonathan. I literally had to take a double take and went, "What the hell was that sound?" Because I've never heard it before. It's just such a surprise.
Yeah, I'll have to actually look that up because I don't know when I'm gonna come across another man like that, because they always are almost just like a Steve. I just see like Scoops Ahoy Steve always, never really Jonathan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Steve is by far the most common survivor that you'll find outside of the Stranger Things DLC. 110%.
Yeah, of course. Well, I guess let's see what happens with this, Quentin. I hope you survive.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We Can't Loop is going to be surviving first, so it'll be interesting to see what decisions they make around Wrecker's Yard, whether they're going to wait out Corrupt Intervention, which we've been seeing more and more often. Right. Though it is harder on Wrecker's Yard. It's a really wide open map.
I really wouldn't suggest that because even the corners aren't really well covered. So if you hide in a spot that the killer just randomly walks past and just looks to the left, ooh, easy first hit. Like, I don't think it's really wise. I think you just have to start hammering gems right away. Maybe on Ormond you can do that because it's so massive, but I don't know, I wouldn't really suggest it on either of those maps, personally.
Yeah, no, that is a fair assessment. And I mean, I know Sample Text and I, we try to do that. We kind of try and scout out when we're on Wrecker's Yard or places like that and try and see what's corrupted, what's not corrupted. Okay, can we do any totems, so on and so forth. But we're jumping right on in. And we see Temp Babylicious on the Doctor.
This is actually a great choice, in my opinion, because you can get a lot of static blast value from this, because you're kind of central to the map. You can just, boom, blast off and know where people are, get an early first chase, as they are getting right now on Wakanda, a former teammate of mine who is very good at looping.
So, I actually have a question for you here. I personally do not like base kit, Doc, and so I always advocate for electrodes to be used. I'm seeing here the yellow electrode and not the green electrode. Any idea why that is?
I don't know. I prefer the green electrode. Like, it gives you just more value. I don't know if they just think that, oh, this... I have no clue.
Okay, so it's not just me that's confused, and I wasn't sure if maybe the yellow electrode provides a bonus in comparison to the green. That would be my only thought that I could think of, but for the most part, nothing really comes to mind.
Maybe it was just like transferring over from pubs or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that is an interesting question.
Temp just got confused so bad right there by the Dwight. I think he was just confused, like, Dwight, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe it's Dwight's pathing or what, but it is throwing Temp for a loop right now, that is for sure.
I don't think I've seen Temp this confused by a survivor's movement in a long time, and already one gen has popped. And gets the vault, no, not quite, gets down.
Yeah.
I thought there was a vault we can go through, but it kind of paused and just like, whoop.
Yeah, I think unless they're going to have Resilient Spine Shield on a chase belt, I don't think that was going to happen there.
No, I don't think so, but I would expect another gen to pop off real soon, because when he was looking around, I did not see Corrupt up. So I'd be really surprised if there was another gen, maybe two, if they were being efficient.
Yeah, I mean, that's the danger of not using Corrupt, right? A lot of people have been talking, like, is Corrupt actually going to prove beneficial in comp at this point? And amazing timing there with that hit, as that was an insta-down from from Haunted Ground. Just talking about Corrupt and got interrupted.
Yeah.
Imagine if Corrupt gave you an exposed status effect.
I mean, I wish.
Hello there, Fangman.
Ooh, you just jumped on that locker at the worst. I think he was trying to avoid the static blast or something?
Maybe that's the only thing that I can think of, yeah, but Wakanda getting downed here because of that move, seeing slow vaulting into the locker just to be down thereafter.
Okay, Temp is doing something really smart here, slugging this out and going onto the hill to get some perspective. Is there a survivor that is out of position that I can go down and get 3 downs with Haunted Grounds? Because right now, he already got a ton of value by getting just 2 downs from it that were pretty fast. Just boom, boom. Normally, those would be really long chases, I think, with them pre-dropping pallets.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, Haunted Ground can get some immense value not timed well. And that's one of the big things that I know that my team has really focused in on. You know, we're trying not to cleanse totems if someone's in chase until they have already been hit by the killer. That way they have to make a choice. Do I give up haunted ground value, or do I, you know, give up the chase? And so it puts the killer in this really awkward position. So there is ways to play around haunted. You just have to think about that first before you cleanse the totem.
Oh, exactly. And it's definitely the right way to go. Oftentimes killers will lead depending on if it's a high mobility killer or not.
Yeah, 100%. And we do see Temp doing a really smart thing here. I think that's something that we're going to see killers do more and more is once you see a survivor on hook without any proxying, gets down to about 30 seconds until second hook, to kind of just sit there and wait it out, right? And to ensure that they're not able to get the unhook, because instead of waiting for, you know, a full 60 where survivors are going to be on, you know, gens, there's only 30 seconds that they have to wait.
Oh, there's a firecracker coming in, and the second stage was achieved on Wakanda. So this could be a very good tunnel on Wakanda if he decides to slug here. And he is going to slug. Can Wakanda buy enough time, though, is the question.
Yeah, I mean, really good play there. You know, utilizing distance to try and push the survivor around. And though really great play there by Chicken Pickle to try and get that unhook. You know, Temp was very reserved and not going for the swing, instead using M2 to shock block them out of the unhook.
Oh, 100%. Wakanda playing that pretty smart by leaving Shaq, but right now, it might go down because that shock is going to prevent that pallet drop. Going to be constantly shocking Wakanda, knowing that there's probably going to be the down right now. And no dead hard or anything because of the shock as well. So that is a death hook if they do not have decisive.
Yeah, and it's always hard to tell in Kill Your Friends when a survivor does or does not have decisive. As I mentioned yesterday, unlike in pubs where you can actually predict who does and doesn't based on obsession markers, Kill Your Friend has a different algorithm for some ungodly reason.
Do we even question these things at this point? We just we take them as it's. But they did pick up the ace on the ground, so they were being productive in that time. It did not allow a double slug to happen. And Wakanda did not have that DS, so or just ran out and is dead. And honestly, only 2 gens are done, and there's already been a kill on the board for Deadhead's killer Temp. So he's in a solid spot right now, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, overall, if I'm in their position, I'm not going to complain and slice. My Ruin is still up. You know, I still have, if we have taken note when they're breaking pallets, you know, Brutal Strength is still in hand. And just overall getting some really good value here. I mean, if you're a comp killer, getting a survivor out before 3 gens are done is kind of where you want to be. And
honestly, all he needs to do is find Quentin, or I think it was Dwight, and just hook them and camp them a bit to death. And honestly, they may only finish 1 more gen, or maybe 1.5, 2. And at that point, you're just guaranteed a 4K.
Yeah, I think that is the play here. Go for Dwight, go for Quentin, and just stay away from Ace Chicken Pickle. You know, as long as you can accomplish that, then you are golden.
I agree, and it looks like he's trying to mind his thought. Oh, Dwight making a hesitation move that will get him down.
Yeah, I think there Dwight was trying to rely on seeing that red light, but because they're in tier 3, they have that red light directly on them. It becomes that much harder to really predict a killer's movement.
No, yeah, exactly. It does, and it just kind of gets disorientating. Your hands are up in the air all awkwardly when you're running. It just all looks weird when you're in that position. But still not the best time to go down, because if Temp does what I said, it's just going to be another kill. And oh, and they're doing the gen right on the hill as well. They do have, I think I heard a Ruin Hex Totem pop, so Ruin is gone, but decides to kick that gen, and that possibly was pop right there from the progression I saw.
Yep, so that was Pop Goes the Weasel. We did see Ruin get cleansed. So at this point in time, Doc is running a 2-perk killer. And we'll see if this is going to be enough to really, you know, lock down the match. And, really close call there with that static shock. I think, and I had to double check, but I think with the green add-on, they probably would have gotten that shock block.
Yeah, again, just not sure what the add-on choice was here. I'll have to go back and see, or maybe we'll talk to Temp and understand why he decided to bring this add-on list and why he thought it was beneficial to this map, maybe.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be interested, especially with Doctor. I love them as a concept. I just hate the base kit, and so I just say it so often, you need to bring Electro. And if you can bring a high stimulus, then you're golden.
It's so addicting. I had legit go through the blood web. I'm like, yes, this is what I need.
Exactly.
Everything else is there's so many. His add-ons are one of the most complex out there. They have so many different things. Anyways, he hooked the ace though, so maybe they will get another gen. If they kind of just ignore him for now, they could probably finish 2 gens. And it looks like this gen also had a decent amount of progress, but Pop gonna give it the work once more. Sees them at the school bus, knows they're not gonna be productive over there. Going to patrol the other gens and see if they're going to try to get another gen done. Honestly, if I am weekend loop right now, I want to get 2 more gens done just to give my killer more time and, a better chance to, kill deadheads.
Yeah, I mean, Temp is making a really good show of what Doctor can do and how to use their power well. They didn't go for Iverson because they needed to snap out. It's kind of like the same way that you kind of run Legion. Once you get them hit with Fatal Frenzy, you don't always want to chase because that's 12 seconds off of generators. You can't heal. You really can't do much in that moment, even more so with Doctor in comparison.
I agree. Right now, this is the death hook. Dwight gonna go down, and it's gonna be a 2K at this moment. Does the smart thing. Knows he can't get to a loop, goes down the corner, but again, I don't think there are any gens that are progressed, unless he just didn't check one of those gens in the corners for a while and they stuck past them, but maybe they won't get another gen done.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, even if there was another gen that was 99.9 and popped off right now, will that really do much? Both of them are injured. That give Doctor information to where they are. Their best bet, ideally, is that Temp gets a bit over-aggressive and hooks the 3rd survivor, but Temp's been in enough comp to where they know full well not to hook unless you know either where Hatch is, which has not spawned, or where the other survivor is.
100%, and here comes... Oh, no, they give him the juice.
I will give We Can't Loop credit where credit's due. They really have been dodging a lot of Temp's hits here.
Yeah, I think he was whiffing a lot earlier, but now he's been more consistent, except for that last one. And again, as you're saying, knowing where the last survivor is, he does know where the ace is right in front of him. Gonna pre-drop pallets, just gonna try to buy time so he can maybe get back to the survivor and pick them up and try to salvage something. Oh no, an unbreakable comes through. All right. They didn't really care. They just wanted any sort of time so they could just, get on gens and maybe finish one more. As I said, they just want to finish maybe 1 or 2 more gens if possible so they can buy more time and just pressure for their killer when they come up.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like the best play here. You're not going to escape. You need to stop the bleed in some way, shape, or form. So just waste as much time as you can and try and get generators done in meanwhile. But with Unbreakable being used at this point, yeah, these survivors are in a bit of trouble.
I'm pretty sure they won't get another gen done. Unfortunate. I thought they would have enough time between people running to corners and, everything that was happening with a few whiffs that they would get at least 3 gens done, maybe 4 in the beginning with that first kill that was at like 3 gens. I'm like, oh, they can still bring this back and get 2 more gens done, but no. Temp just had too much pressure.
Yeah, I think realistically speaking, it might just be because that Temp was kind of divvying up pressure on different gens at all points in time and not really giving any real breathing room to these survivors.
Yeah, exactly. And that Dead Hard was just unfortunate. Just mistimed it. Went like zipped right past the window. You could just probably see it when he was looking into the wall. He's just like, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's difficult when you're trying to use Dead Hard for distance, right? Because on one hand, you want to get that extra distance, but you need to know the full length of Dead Hard to ensure you get that fast fall in those type of scenarios. And with that hill being in that position, it's just really, really difficult to get that exact angle.
Yeah, I think they just sort of panicked Dead Harded too because it seemed like the Dead Harded just a second late as well and too much to the left. I don't know what happened there, but honestly, it was a very, educational and fun game to watch for Temp go to work here.
Now 110%, and with that being said and the ace now being dead, we are looking at We Can't Loop with 5 points and Deadheads, the Doctor, with 45 in comparison. So right now, 45-point lead for Deadheads, with We Can't Loop jumping on to Killer next.
And I'm intrigued to see what they bring out. Sad to see that Wakanda nor the Quinton survived this. I was rooting for them.
Yeah, it looks like Temp was not taking any prisoners today.
No, none at all. I mean, they didn't really give him a chance. They just didn't hide. They were always in his face. But do we know who is playing the killer for We Can't Loop? next.
We do indeed, and I believe, based on what I've seen, we got both Dashy and Iverson as the potential killers for We Can't Loop. Who's going to be playing first? Yet to be determined, so we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise.
I feel like Iverson will play on this map on Wreckers, and then Dashy will play on Ormond. I don't know. That's just my hunch.
I could see it.
I don't think Iverson's really like the high mobility killer. I don't remember seeing him in any of those roles. Yeah, I think he'll be on Wreckers. We'll see. I guess we'll see. We'll come up and debate it and figure it out. But what do you think the type of killer they need to bring now to combat this?
I mean, Doctor, so realistically speaking, if I'm looking at Doctor overall, he is a lower tier killer, right?
Yeah.
And so if I'm looking at, the situation at hand right now, I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're now 40 points behind. We need to make up some distance here. But the question now becomes, do I bring a S tier killer? Do I bring an A tier killer? What's the game plan? I think at the very least, Huntress would be a good move. I could see a Deathslinger as well. We have not seen a Deathslinger on Wreckers yet, which, honestly, really good killer for this map.
Because there are a decent amount of dead zones and some of the loops are smaller, so there's a lot of good things for him to shoot over as well. But it really just depends, I guess. I don't think I would personally run a Deathslinger on this map because you can just kind of run to corners and, just kind of zigzag into areas that are really well profitable for you. What am I trying to say here? Like, they got the TNLs or jungle gyms, and there's kind of a decent amount of spots you can connect together, but if you run near the middle, then you will have trouble against Deathslinger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one to see. I think they could respond with a dock themselves. They saw what Temp did with this. They could respond with their own dock. I think when I commentated last, we had a Bubba to Bubba game, so they just kind of copied each other. So maybe they'll do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that is a real possibility, so no doubt there. And, I would definitely love to see more Doc gameplay. Doc is definitely not the best killer in the world. At the same time, if in the right hands, definitely can do a lot of damage. The question is whether or not We Can't Loop feels that Deadhead Survivor team is going to be susceptible to Doc in the same way that they were.
I think it's one of the better maps to bring him out on because of its shape. You can get a lot of central static blasts in, and just get a lot of early game knowledge and pressure, and then in the mid game and late game you can get knowledge of like, oh, they're not in this area, oh, they're over here, instantly know instead of having to check, and then honestly having to snap out because you're more susceptible to be in that static blast range. They have to snap out more and just buys more time for the killer. So I think it's probably one of his better maps to maybe use him on.
Yeah, but I could definitely agree. I think, Wrecker's Yard, Cold Tower, though I would say stuff like Midwich. Midwich is not in rotation this season.
Yeah.
But Midwich would be a very nasty map for Doctor, to say the least.
Doctor and Hag, for sure. Like, those maps are just like gold mines for them. Even Blight. Have you seen, do you know who Lilith Holman is?
Yes, actually, I've played against Lilith before in Vigo's court, and I will say, I know exactly where you're going with this. Blight on Midwich, one of my favorite maps for Blight, to be honest.
So beautiful. Especially with double speed, you can traverse the whole thing insanely fast. And then because of all the hallways, you can just catch survivors out easily. And just like a boom, 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 they're all going down.
Yeah, 110%. Like, a lot of people will question me when I were to say, like, what's your favorite map for Blight? Midwich. And they're going, what? And like, they're like, it's an indoor map. Like, yeah, no, Midwich Blight, ton of fun. It's like you're playing NASCAR.
Yeah, it's just straight lines and some turns. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. The long and short of it is just that. And like, especially with a lot of my killer prep on Midwich is breaking doors as I'm patrolling real quick. Blight does not even have to worry about that. I'm just zipping on by, breaking doors one at a time. And I'm like, okay, cool, we're good. Like, first 30 seconds of the match.
Oh, exactly. There's a few things you can do. You can go inside the rooms, but even then, if you're good with flicks and mind games, they're not the best loops in there. So you can definitely use your speed to your advantage again there.
Yeah, 110%.
Oh, exactly. But I'm intrigued to see. And we do have, I was right, so I'm not sure if you're showing it on stream right now, but Iverson is going to be killing on Wreckers. My suspicions are confirmed.
Yep. So I was actually just about to mention the exact same thing with Iverson going to be acting as killer for this match. And Harley Quinn, Mr. Beautiful Travesty, and Haley Hades on as survivors for Deadheads.
This should be fun. I really, Haley was also another member of the team I was initially on. And I've been around long enough to know who Harley Quinn is. I've seen them in Vigos since like the very beginning. So yeah, this should be fun to see.
Yeah, no, 110%. I actually remember both Travesty as well as Haley. Actually, was it Haley or Harley Quinn? I forget. But I think it was Haley. I ended up going against them during one of the MMR tests, and I was playing Oni at the time, I think. And I went, you gotta be joking me, it's freaking comp scrims up in here. So I played against them before. I know they are very good survivors, so very excited to see
100%.
what they bring to the table.
No, so mine. It looks like Haley's gonna bring that flashlight, maybe bring out some clicky clicks to get Iverson on her tail, because Haley is a good looper for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very curious to see what killer Iverson's going to bring in. I'll say it's going to really determine a lot in this type of scenario. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping for another Huntress. I really do love seeing Huntress on this map.
It is really fun, and it honestly really just depends. Like, do they bring agitation? Do they get a hook on a hill? If they get either of those things and they work for them, it can turn a game in an instant. Just like, oh, the survivor's doing really well. Uh-oh. Basement hook, Huntress.
Yeah, I didn't realize how lethal Basement Hook Huntress can be in certain scenarios until I was scrimming with my team against Jess, who is pretty good at Huntress and Deathslinger. And I was like, oh, okay, get out of the basement at BT. Literally, hits me on top stairs at BT. I get to the window, and they're like, nah, I'm going to grab you now. I'm like, oh, okay. Yep, that's a thing right there. That's a thing.
Yeah, and from the middle of the map, which is Shack, you can honestly just snipe other gens and pressure a gen that's, not even like 20 feet away, chase the survivor for a few seconds. They're like, oh crap, this isn't working out. Instantly go to back to basement. By the time they get to save, you're at the stairs already. So you have so much kind of, play options to use at your disposal.
Absolutely, but I do believe Pilacito has some information for us.
Ooh, ready.
Yes, sir. We're all good to go.
Awesome,
right.
Awesome. In that case, we're going to be jumping right on into Game 2 of Division 1. Round 2? Yeah, sorry. Lots of numbers to remember. I do. You were right, Shelby. I do love to Mori my friends. And Temp actually corrected me. It was Temp and Haley that I played against during MMR as Oni, and I did murder Temp. That was correct.
Temp always getting the short end of the stick here, huh? In pubs.
I was going for freaking win streaks during MMR, and I was on Oni at the time. I was dedicated during the last MMR test to do a full hour of every single killer. And we're on Oni at the point in time, like, god dang it. And I found actually a lot of comp survivors during that test. Some people from DBE, some people from COTF and Vigos. It was a thing, all right.
A sweat fest indeed. I mean, a lot of times though in pubs, comp players just go and relax a bit. They don't really try as hard. So you may have had the nicer end of the stick. And they're like, oh crap, this killer's actually doing well. Let's put on our pants now.
I mean, they still played pretty well at the end of the day. I think it's either 2-man out or 1-man out that match. But I made sure to get Temp. I did make sure that at the very least.
You got some malicious intent for him.
Oh, no, I do this thing. If you ever find me in pubs and I recognize your name, like, enough to where I know you, I always will bring a Mori. I say, I Mori you because I love you.
Yeah, I remember going up against you in pubs, I think, one time after. I'm not sure if it was after Vigos or something. That was
yeah,
fun.
I think I was practicing Nurse that day as the freaking game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, that was hilarious.
It was miserable for me, I'll tell you what. But we are once again seeing the Doctor.
I told you. Look, I told you they're gonna respond with the doctor. I should just make call-outs and bets, and I would just win all the money. Anyways,
I do love when teams do this. I'm not gonna lie, because it really does show a little bit of diversity, both in the killers, but also being able to see and the teams going, okay, you're gonna run a lower tier killer against us. Let's do the same thing against you. Let's see how you stack up against our survivor team.
Exactly. Who's gonna do better? Which killer? It's like a little bit of a contest of like man index or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, either ways, I do love seeing it, and really good down there on Travesty, resulting in the first down. And we are seeing Corrupt Intervention this time around, and that's roughly about a minute into the match. So really good stuff, all things considered in that regard.
I might say that this down happened faster than Temp's down as well, because a gen had already popped when his first chase ended, and that has not happened so far with Deadhead surviving.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This was definitely a faster down. I think Iverson not with it as much off the bat here, you know, having a very good start. I will mention, in this case, we do end up seeing that green high stimulus electrode in comparison to the yellow.
And this, again, this is the smart thing to do, in my opinion. And, ooh, gets this shock of trying to stop them from getting on that totem, but gets spun by Haley. Well done. Decides just to stop and, like, what are you doing? I'm not gonna get spun again.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I always tell my viewers a lot, like, spinning is very flashy, but doesn't always work to your advantage. I mean, maybe these Common Survivors are showing me something different, because they are getting a lot of value out of these spins.
Yeah, I think they're not sure if it's nerves by the killers, but they're just, like, being preemptive with it or something. It's not quite working in their favor. Oh, good dodges right here by the Leon, but it's not going to be quite enough, and they are going to go down.
Yeah, the dodging a Doctor's Static Blast or Shock Therapy is very similar to trying to dodge a Death Slinger's shot. It's like, on one hand, you're not going to give them value. On the other hand, you're losing distance in the chase. So there's kind of that give and take scenario where most times survivors are going to lose out on that trade.
Exactly, but I will note that it's a bit easier to dodge Goated's blast here, not blast, but therapy, because it's a bit skinnier. So it's more of like a missile.
And what I've actually found, and Temp mentioned it, and I have to double check to make sure it's true, apparently the green takes longer to recover after shocking, which if that is the case, would make a lot of sense to use the yellow versus the green. So might have to try that out on my Doctor next time.
Yeah, personally, I've found more use out of the green in the past. Oh, whiffing right there. That was a really bad whiff. Unfortunately, that might buy them a window. Oh, then Lithe comes out. Them from the hit.
Those type of misses are so painful because, like, I'm right on top of them. Where am I not getting that hit? And then you're like, oh, they have life. And it's like, well, I should still get the hit.
Yeah, exactly. It's really unfortunate. If he didn't miss that first hit, that Lithe wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have mattered. Ooh, Mind Game comes through, and I think this will be a down because we know they do not have Dead Hard. Be very patient. Try not to get spun again. But you can see that Goated is on console with these ones. He's not having the most, like, smooth movements.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's one of those things that, like, on one hand, getting spun so many times makes you a bit more cautious to swing early or go for plays like that. And the only unfortunate part about it is the fact that you then have to almost give them more time in chase, right?
Exactly, but I might just say that felt so sad to see right there. Oh, Harley just jumped right into the Doctor's face as well. That gen was basically 99, it looked like, and he just came over and popped it, and Harley just looked so sad on that gen.
Yeah, I think that they are trying to get back on it after the shock in order to try and attempt to, you know, stop them from popping and force the trade, but did not work out in their favor at all.
Ooh, and it looked like he respected the BT right there. He just wanted the pallet drop, and he wants to kind of bait them around.
I mean, smart move, all things considered. It's better to wait out BT than give them extra distance in this scenario, especially if you can get a survivor out right as the first gen is done.
Does he have the DS? No DS, and this will be a very easy tunnel. And right now, I will say, Goated is having a better time. He's already gotten a few hooks in, and there's someone on Death Hook at 4 gens still left. Deadheads is struggling right now against the Goated Doctor.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and very strange situation there. I'm not sure how they managed it to just be on the edge of that shock therapy and got repressed alliance on that gen, and that should be enough that Pop Goes Weasel does expire, but not if Leon goes down here.
Yeah, and he'll get another pop refresher right from this, so I don't think it will matter. Yeah, you should hook this. I would say you should hook this right now. Because this person is going to be on the second hook, Mr. Beautiful. And again, there's going to have to be 2 people on Death Hook. Wait, did Travesty die? Wait, was that a Death Hook?
Yeah, that was Death Hook on Travesty.
Wow. Did they just give up? What happened?
No, so they got hooked 3 times in this match.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was confused then. I thought for some reason, I thought that it was their second hook there.
No,
Not
no.
bad.
I mean, that's what made that play as big as it was, and
Yeah.
now they actually have Leon on death hook as well. So if they are able to get Leon down again without a DS and I mean, it's going to be game over for for Deadheads in this scenario, I think.
100%, but I will add that they have completed 3 gens, which is one more than We Can't Loop did. So they're already in a little bit better spot. They're just going to try to fight for more points to see if they can get at least all of the 5 gens done.
And I think Iverson sees that exact same thing that you're saying. Is going, okay, let's slug out Harley. Let's go for Leon. Let's kill Leon out of the game. And at least this way, at the very most, there's only one person on gens at this point in time with no resets in sight.
100%. And if they do leave the gen right now, then they'll go pick up. But again, it won't be gen pressure. And potentially, if Leon is not the DS, that's another death. And again, there'll just need to be a constant cycle of one person being chased, one person on a gen. It's going to be too much, and I think that will be a finish of the game.
Yeah, I think Iverson here is trying to wait out and try and identify where the Meg and Leon are. Or rather, not Leon. Where Meg is. We know where Leon is out in that locker. And just waiting out DS at this point in time. It's going to be a little bit difficult for them to time it out, though they should know that their pop time is around 45 seconds. Pop was still up like halfway, so about 22.5 seconds for them to wait. I think at this point, Leon's timer should be up.
And they did the smart thing right there with Meg finishing that gen and not going for the pickup, getting that extra point from it, because I would think they know that this is going to be a 4K probably.
Honestly, I think with the amount of time that they wasted waiting for Leon's DS to expire, this very well could result in at least a one-man out.
It may. I mean, if there's another gen somewhere that has progress, that could be the case. But if there are no gens that have progress, I don't think this will be a 5-gen completion by Deadheads.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Both survivors now fully healed and reset. So, I mean, if they're able to hold chase for upwards of, let's say, 80 seconds beginning to finish, they're at least going to get the 5th gen as far as the escape. Hard to say for certain, but, you know, both these survivors have hook states to give, and if played well, could result in a potential out.
100%. And looks like we're going to be chasing Harley Quinn, who did have the balance this game. Going to get some more shocks on. Did not break his pallet, so may have to get some really good shocks in here. And just going to kind of loop around this constantly. Going to vault? No, just holding W around it. Very smart on Harley Quinn's part.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, knowing full well that Doctor was not going to shock there, you know, that kind of gives you a bit of a tell on where exactly Doctor is going to go. But Iverson switching up the play there and does result in the hit over the pallet.
Exactly, and right now I'm assuming Haley is just going to be on a gen somewhere. We're going to try and finish one more gen before this chase ends. Going to probably run into a corner and see if it buys enough time. But again, if there wasn't a gen that had some progress on it, I don't think it's going to matter at this point.
No, 110%, but these survivors not giving up lightly and does get that spin on Iverson.
Here comes the static blast. Are they going to be found? No, might be in the corner there. If they are in that corner gen, I wouldn't be checking these lockers. I personally probably just hook and go check that gen and use pop on it if need be.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day here, if you do hook, they have to go through the initial hook states. So that's 3 off. And in addition to, they also have to get through the animation before they die for a potential hatch. We do see that final gen go off.
Yeah. Say either pick up and hook right away or go check that gen, and they didn't do that. Because, honestly, that should have probably been the call to go for. Just try to slug it out and try to make sure that they do not complete all gens. And I don't think... Oh, there's scratch marks. Never mind. This will be the 4K, but they completed 5... Oh! The deli! Harley Quinn had the deli. Oh, no, this actually will probably be a one-man out, as you were saying. I take back what I said.
Yeah, you never want to count those survivors until you've either seen Deliverance or they go on a second stage. And I think even if you get the hit here and you go for the full chase, I think that gives Harley Quinn enough time to get the out.
It should be, honestly. I don't think there would be any other reason why there shouldn't be a one-man out from this game. And honestly, that is huge for Deadheads, considering with what happened in the very beginning. And there's the Dead Hard. He knows that Haley has the Dead Hard just because they saw every other exhaustion from everyone else.
And though Harley Quinn is on tier 3, they can still do that exit gate without hesitation, and so that will be the one-man out. And this match was a whole lot closer in comparison to the previous.
Oh, 100%. I mean, even though it started off better for the killer here, they just couldn't keep that momentum throughout the game, really. Survivors did a good job resetting, and just keeping the momentum on the gens.
And absolutely. And so with that hook there, and no way of them getting off of it, that will result in 23 points to Deadheads and 38 points to We Can't Loop and Goated Iverson, resulting in overall points at the end of game number 2, 43 We Can't Loop and 68 Deadheads. So definitely a closer match than where they started, but still in Deadheads' favor.
Bit of a gap now, but not too much. Like, still, they're going to need to bring out good killers. They're going to need to have good Survivor games to kind of secure a win or to come back from this.
Yeah, 110%, but overall, so far, really great plays, both on both killer sides, but also both Survivor sides. Like, I have to give credit where credit's due, really smart heads-up plays overall.
Yeah, honestly, that deli saved the game for them right there. That gave them the one-man out. And Haley committing to those gens instead of trying to, you know, pick up their friends was the right play in this scenario.
Yeah, 110%. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to think of not just how do I get the most points, but how do I ensure that the other team gets the least number of points possible.
Yeah, in this case, the old saying, gens over friends, is just really true.
Absolutely, absolutely. But with that being said, let's take a look and see who's going to be the next killer for We Can't Loop. And looks like it's probably going to be Dashy over on Mount Ormond Resort.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure this is where we're going to see a nurse. I honestly have my hunch on Nurse right now.
Yeah, I mean, could very well be, and I would not be surprised to see Nurse. I mean, especially as We Can't Loop is still at a bit of a deficit, you really do need to either bridge the gap and make it an even game where it's going to come down to your Survivor team, or at least make it so that you're ahead in points where you can kind of breathe a little bit easier.
100%, but maybe, I think they're going to bring in that, like an A or S tier killer. I think they will. I'm not sure if Deadheads will, depending on how this game goes. Deadheads may just bring in a Trapper. They might bring in, you know, just some sort of throwaway killer if they are far enough ahead where they think just a normal M1 will do enough points.
I mean, Gothergy did do that against Milkshake Mafia last week, so it is very possible.
You can have some really weird moments in this game where the smallest little trap and just placement of a hook in a game can change it all, and just dumb things can happen.
I mean, though the former members of CDM would rather not speak of it, they did lose to Basement Trapper one time.
I remember that, actually. I was around then, and I remember that happening. We were just like, I was kind of disbelief. I wasn't watching the stream at that point. I'm like, oh, this game's already finished. And then we saw a Basement Trapper come out, like, oh, interesting. But I don't think that'll happen here. I think that's who do you say the killer's name was again? Dashy?
Yep, Dashy, or DJ Polar Bear, as some people might know him
DJ
as.
Polar Bear. Yeah, if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I've been pretty good on my guesses so far today. I think it's a nurse.
You know, I could definitely see Nurse, and you have been at least 2 for 2 today so far?
Yeah. And I think I also did say, and I remember like last week, where I thought that the other team was going to bring out a Bubba as well. I knew it. So, I don't know, I'm on their wavelength. Honestly, actually, I'm the coach of all these teams in the league. I'm not sure if you know that. Like, I just tell them all what to run. So I have insider track knowledge on this. Yeah, it's really unfair.
Honestly, I will say, all jokes aside, I do love that teams are coaching other teams. I've seen Jazzy out on the recruits page offering to coach teams, and I've heard that other teams have been screaming a lot with one another. And that's the type of stuff that I do love to see, and that really does bring in that sense of, you know, competitiveness that welcomes in the teams that are not at, you know, the top level yet, or even at average, because, you know, no one loves coming into competitive scene and just getting absolutely demolished, right?
No, not at all. I mean, you all start somewhere, and I mean, there's probably a point in time where everyone was like, oh, I'm a really good pub survivor, and then you try out comp or you see comp play, and you're like, wow, I'm actually suck compared to them. And it's really just a big difference on communication and running ability, because you can be a really good pub survivor and you can run things, but you can't really maximize things, and you still make common mistakes that will get you down against a good killer.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's more punishing to come into Comp Survivor than it will be Comp Killer more often than not, because you have to play things so efficiently into such a T to where you really don't have room to make mistakes. Whereas Killer, you can still make some mistakes, and it really comes down to if the survivors make more mistakes than you.
No, exactly. And I mean, I honestly, in my opinion, though, killers have to make fewer mistakes than survivors. Survivors do have those 3 other members that can kind of carry them around it, right? So it's a solo responsibility. It's why a lot of people kind of refrain from going to play killer in general, even in pubs, because there's so much pressure. It's like, damn, I'm chasing this person, but what if they're doing like 3 separate gens right now and they pop this, and it just feels like crap. And like, do I even win this game? Do I even get this many hooks or this many kills? And it feels a lot more stressful in that scenario. I can understand that. But yeah, so with Survivor, you can just go, oh, well, I did a lot. I ran them for 3 gens, but my teammates suck and they didn't complete any more gens. You can kind of do that sort of thing where you feel good on Survivor either way. But with Killer, it's really all on you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a lot of information that you have to take into consideration. So I mean, the question then becomes, right? I know that when I went from pubs to comp based, I think it really comes down to mindset most of all with killers. I go back to it all the time, and this is nothing against True, but I think a prime example of that is Oracle versus True as he played Wraith, and where he had to change his complete mindset from how do I actually get kills? I can't just go for a 12-hook game. I have to actually potentially camp out or move people from first stage to second stage before they get unhooked. So I think that mindset alone of just when you put people into certain stages it's night and day between a pub killer and a comp killer.
Oh yeah, with him, he's like a really good pub killer for sure, but when I saw him play those Wraith games, I was just like, oh no, what are you doing? He was committing to chases too long. Like, he was getting rid of like a lot of pallets, but he committed way too long, and then they were coming in with body blocks because obviously the best thing to do against Wraith, if you can reset efficiently, is just take a body block when someone's in a dangerous spot, and there's nothing he can really do.
Yeah, I know.
At the end of the day, he is an M1 killer with just a threat of having speed around a loop, but all you do in comp, like, oh, Wraith right there, boop, pre-drop.
Yep.
He just breaks it, and he just buys you more time. So I even think he saw there, he's like, Wraith against, a good team even can do pretty well and get a 4K if they have bad communication or they're not, like, perfectly communicating. Like, oh, I'm right here. Like, say you're doing a clock call. It's a 9 running to 8. Can someone, like, from 7 come and run and take a body block? If that happens, it extends the chase and the game way longer. But if it doesn't happen, Wraith can snowball a ton because they can do a hit and run style and just really take a team down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's one thing I actually do want to call out here is that I'm seeing in the league a lot more body blocking happening, which is really, really nice to see. Before we saw a lot of people relying on loops and pallets, but I'm noticing recently in Season 1, more so than I saw in Season 0, a lot more teams body blocking. I mean, yesterday was a great example against Regicide. It felt freaking miserable. I had key moments in my game as Freddy to where I was trying to get downs, and they're just like, no, I'm just going to stay in your face and not going to give you any breathing room to down this other survivor. I'm like, man, if I could just get this down, the game would be a completely different scenario.
Oh, exactly, and that's what makes it horrible because, Freddy, they've knocked him down a peg, and then on top of that, he is still an M1 killer.
Yep.
So, as much as he can do, there's only so much that an M1 killer can do. He can teleport, he can put snares down, and still slow him down a bit. But really, all they need to do is just play it safe, drop those pallets, and take hits, because it's not like you can blink through them as Nurse, or phase around them as Spirit, or bonk around on objects as Blade. You can't do all those things. So it's, unfortunate for you, but I saw that game, and at the very end of the game in particular, where they're body blocking, it's like, yeah, you're not gonna get a kill out of here with that.
Yeah,
just go back to the hook.
It is unfortunate, but at the same time, love to see it. Though I do believe Prilacito has some information for us.
We are all set.
Awesome. In that case, we'll jump right on over to Spectator. We'll be jumping right on into game number 3 of Round 2, Division 1. We Can't Loop versus Deadheads.
All right, Dashy, don't disappoint me. Let it be a Nurse. Prove me right.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Nurse would not be a bad option. I think Blight or any form of S-tier killer if they're really going to be trying to make up this type of point gap that they're currently behind.
Yeah, and I mean, it would really suck to use a Nurse or a Blight and not get value from it. So let's just see what happens here. That's like the worst feeling. Like, oh, we used a really good killer and we didn't even end up winning the series. So, like, was it worth it?
Yeah, no, those definitely are unfortunate circumstances when they do come to pass, and it's definitely punishing. Thankfully, not as much this time around as it was Season 0, as you are allowed to use each killer twice, so that's the good news at the very least.
Exactly. So you got a bit of a second chance, and you get to pick and choose again. Like, all right, let's use our last Nurse on these boys. They're worthy.
100%. And thank you, Temp. I appreciate it, even though it is a minute delay. Chat, saying bless you for the sneeze. All right, though. But let's see the Survivor builds real quick. Do a quick double check, as I do like to do before we jump on in. And looking good to go off the first glance, and we'll jump right on in. And we see the Spirit.
No!
No Nurse, but you were within the S-tier realm, so good news there at least.
Man, the thing is with Spirit on this map is, I will preface, is that if you run extremely early from the Spirit, if you know, like, oh, the Spirit's going up to this corner of the map, you run extremely early before she even gets there. It doesn't matter if she's facing or not. You will get enough distance to where it won't matter what she does. She can't really do much against you if you're a coordinated team.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard scenario to be in, and one thing I will say about this map as well, there's not a lot of environmental noise that you get as they run through the map, versus another map, even, Grim Pantry or Backwater Swamp is a great example of that, where the footsteps are very clear, but this map, they're nice silent at times.
Oh, good hit though right there. Just came out of that phase and smacked the Survivor, and Nancy did not have enough time to react to that.
And a really good hit validation, not in Nancy's favor here. There's a dead hard, but it will not be enough.
No, very well played. Haley did not come out with the dead hard right there. Just didn't think that he was going to come around and commit to that side, I guess. But Dashy did. And once again, I will say, no gen is popped by the first down. I'm not sure if this is like a trend. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Close but no cigar right there. Close but no cigar.
Technically, they had a hook before the gen pop, so I was right to a degree, but they did get the gen done anyways, and here comes the save. 2 survivors going to the top of the map here, 2 survivors in the bottom. They're quite split up, as they should be right now. And it looks like Dashy is going to tunnel.
I mean, it's a smart play here, no doubt about it. They do run a very big risk of eating a DS at this point in time. So, though at the same time, kind of looking at it, eating it now is not the worst of scenarios to be in.
Yeah, it's a 1 in 4 chance, but Haley does have Dead Hard again. I forgot to check if they had DS another time, but they do not have DS. Damn, this could be really bad, because Dashy can kind of just proxy this area of the map, potentially set up a 3-gen, and also camp someone to death and have someone down early.
I will say, though, for the Survivors to get that middle gen out of the way at this point in time, especially based on the scenario that they're in, really, really good for them, because if they hadn't, then they could have protected Shack gen, middle gen, and the gen to the left of that hook, and the one right in front. Like, that's a very strong position. Even this right here is 3 gens they're protecting in this moment by just staying around this hook.
And there's the Hex. I'm not sure if you saw, but the Hex sort of is right there as well. There's legit no reason for him to leave this. All of his good options are right here. There's nothing he should do. He should just stay here. And they're going to try to come in for a save.
I mean, that is a great play, but unfortunately it's going to take probably upwards of 2 people to do so. And if you're kind of looking at this positioning of this hook, it's kind of awkward because Spirit could theoretically sit on the right side of that hook right there and just not even have to worry about anyone coming up that way, as that fully block off that loop.
And there we go. Haley has died. Wow.
Yeah, very, very early kill here, and puts Dashy into a very strong position. I mean, Spirit may have not been the best killer on this map, but man, they're making it hard for these survivors.
Honestly, I think it was just decision-making, having that early down and then able to tunnel out Haley right there, and just have the Ruin Totem there with the gens. Just nothing the survivors could do, and by the time they realized, they were like, oh crap, we really need to get the save. It was too late. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, I think you're 110% correct in that thought process. And I'm really surprised here. We see a survivor on that gen within line of sight of that ruined totem, and they don't go for it.
I assume they called that out, unless you're just trying to push gens right now. They're just thinking we need to get gens done. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, this just feels so similar to what was happening with my team, where we may have seen Ruin. It was never called out, and if that is the case, what we're seeing here as well, that's going to be a miserable time for these survivors, because Ruin's going to put in a lot of good damage.
Just jumped into the Spirit's face. That happened with Harley Quinn last game, and now the Aces decided to join along.
You know, he just doesn't want to miss out is all.
Yeah. Oh! Firecracker coming in clutch right there. That was well done by the Ace.
So, interesting question for you, because I actually don't know the answer, where we do see the Ace going down, but that Firecracker play, does that hit them out of phase walk?
Honestly, I haven't played Spirit in a while to even know that. Like, it's actually kind of hard to hit that, because they have to kind of go right on top of that Firecracker. But it seems they came out instantly as soon as that happened, so I'd assume yes.
I'll have to look into that a bit more. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, because I never even really tried to, like, Firecracker a Spirit in phase. It just doesn't seem... It's smart, but at the same time, it's kind of risky, because you can't even see where they are. They could be phasing away from you, for all you know.
Yeah, no, 110%, so definitely risky move. I mean, at the end of the day, Firecrackers are more or less a throwaway item in most scenarios, so getting any form of value out of it is not a bad deal.
And it looks like this person, which is the injured Leon, was going to maybe try and sneak over and get the save after finishing that gen, which will not probably work. They have 2 gens done at this point, but again, I don't know if it's going to be completely worth it at this point. They have to get the save right now, and there comes the next gen. But he has Leon hooked here, and he knows that they're on the other side of the map, and they won't be able to get to that survivor likely in time if he goes back right now, which is probably what he's going to do to secure the second stage.
Yeah, I think, honestly, they should have probably have left that chase a little bit sooner. Nonetheless, though, Ace does go to second stage, and now could potentially capitalize off of a hit on the Nia in addition to that.
Honestly, I would just tunnel this Ace as well. Like, he might have decisive of the obsession, but as you mentioned before, it might not even matter. Oh, and the down on Harley as well. But gonna slug this, knowing that only, Leon can be on a gen right now or pick up, and he can chase down this Ace and potentially get a kill again.
Surprisingly, though, if we do see something that Dashi did earlier, where he actually did break that wall, coming back to actually bite him in that chase, where if he had a little bit more distance before that pallet, that would have resulted in a down.
100%, and I think the survivors are honestly running the same build. I'm seeing a lot of the same perks on them, like Haley with the Dead Hard. I think I saw the Lithe on the Ace as well. So we're seeing a lot of the same perks from him, and Ace going down, and I'm betting on no DS here unless they switched it up. Oh,
yeah, not looking like it.
Here's the second kill. And Harley's still down on the ground, by the way. I think Leon's committing to a gen. Go check a gen.
Yeah, it's very possible. We can check real quick, and let's take a look. We see Ace is dying, Harley's still on ground, there's a Spirit, and indeed, Leon is on gens. I mean, this makes the most sense in the moment here, as that does ensure that they're going to get a little bit more points to try and shore up the victory when they move back onto Killer.
That's so unfortunate, too, because if I was the Spirit in that scenario, I would have known that, hey, last time I was with Leon, he was on this tractor. He'd probably try to get on the closest gen possible. What do you think that is? That's this top left corner right here.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be the smart heads-up play, but Dashi, you know, trying to explore around, trying to ensure they won't go in for the pickup, which could be just as equally dangerous. And this scenario, you know, just desperately trying to find Leon as soon as possible to try and avoid a situation where one survivor gets out.
And right now, I'm thinking that Leon either made it all the way over, or he's just still hiding, and the Harley's just going to crawl away to some corner.
Yeah, and if they do bleed out, that's actually going to be a huge loss of points for Dashi, as neither one of these two survivors have been hooked at this point in time.
Exactly. I really do think that Deadheads has really done a really smart job on these Survivor games, prioritizing gens and just getting as many points as they can, knowing that Temp is going to come in and clean house.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe, I don't think it's Temp on the last match. I think it is Gothergy.
Ooh, all right. I wonder who Gothrage's gonna bring for this. Wait, was Goth? Oh, and there's Hatch right there. Now we know.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting question. I'm surprised to see Dashi moving away. Maybe just exploring their little 3-gen right here to just ensure that not going to get that last gen and a potential escape. But with Hatch being right there next to the hook, these survivors are in a world of hurt.
If they finish the last gen again on a We Can't Loop killer right here, I'm just going to be sad just for We Can't Loop because prioritizing those gens has really paid off for Deadheads and getting all 5 gens done. Because if the other team can't do that, it's going to be tough for them to come back. They almost need like a good 3-man out or something. Oh!
But once again, Harley Quinn with that deliverance play.
They didn't change their builds at all. I think they should have been watching to predict that kind of maneuver because now I really do think they can finish that last gen. Like, he should not commit to this. He should not commit to this.
110%. Dashi had the same thought that I would, which is, wait a second, they're drawing me into an area that has no generators, away from where I need to be. I need to drop chase, check gens, and play it smart.
Exactly, that's what he's doing. Finds a Leon, gonna drop that pallet pretty safe and early. But, oh man, I feel like they may have enough progress to somehow get something going, but Leon is going to stay here and may go down because of it. My English today. Because of it. Oh, running right into the Spirit. Unfortunate, but the mind games paid off for Dashi.
Yeah, definitely some interesting mind games, to say the least. I think Leon actually was going to vault earlier, but may have misclicked onto that gen, which would prove to be unfortunate. And we do see that the broken stats effect is now off of Harley. If they have the ability to heal themselves, now's the time to do it.
Exactly. I'm not sure if I remember seeing the med kit on that. I wasn't really paying attention to the survivor items in those moments. But he's going to go check the hatch, make sure they're not around here in case they try to, do some sort of sneaky play at some point.
Yeah, I mean, really smart play. Haley does get the heal after all. Maybe a smart heads-up play by them grabbing a medkit off of the dead survivor could be really, really beneficial here if they're able to make a play for a hatch. Or, I don't know, like, what can they do in this scenario other than going for hatch, potentially?
I don't even know if Dashi knows. He's just shaking his head. He's like, there's nothing you guys can do. I have the high ground, Anakin. Legit. Oh, and then, no, they have the high ground. No.
Yeah, they have the high ground, but Dash is the one with the sword, so I don't know how much Harley Quinn can do here.
My analogy was just thrown out the window. How that should be clipped right there. That should legit be clipped. Oh my goodness. I was just coming up with the Star Wars meme, and then they decide to like replicate it there. Like what?
Actually trying to mind game Harley here, and Harley's saying, no, I don't think so. I'm good, I'll be honest. I'm good right here. I mean, she has the pallet, she has all the time in the world. Yeah, Mr. Beautiful's gonna die, but if Dashi makes a mistake, maybe Harley Quinn has balanced landing. That could maybe give Harley Quinn enough time to get to that hatch, and Dashi has that same thought and will be phase walking over.
She does have balanced landing because they're running almost the same builds from the last game. She has balance. But again, Spirit's just gonna sit here and be like, nah, my hatch. You can't have it.
And if we're looking at those exit gates too, they spawn some really awkward locations for Harley Quinn here. To let you guys know, if an instance that endgame collapse does get Harley Quinn, that will result in a hook plus progressions. So they still will get, not full points, but close enough here.
Let's see what Harley can pull off here on this chase. A pretty unsafe loop on Ormond here, but yeah, it's gonna result in a hit. Like these things, especially with Spirit, she can just phase around them so fast. There's like nothing you can do, and half of it's just 50-50s.
Yeah, it's a tough scenario to be in. Most of those filler pallets, the most you want to use it for is just for a little bit of a buffer for distance, and not really to use in a scenario to really work around without getting hit.
Exactly, and well, Deadheads, they almost got all gens done. They got 4 of them done. So, I mean, I feel like they did the smart thing, and it could have ended up where they only finished 3 gens. But Haley, or was it Haley? No, I think it was the Leon. Yeah, it was Leon. Did the smart thing, and again, gens before friends. Hanging out in that corner, finishing that gen.
Yeah, I think really overall, really good plays all up, but Deadheads once again coming in with a lot of good generators, and actually a very similar match, if points-wise, to game number 1. So we are looking at 14 points Deadheads to 43 points We Can't Loop and Dashy as Spirit. Total points going into game number 4. We Can't Loop 86, Deadheads 82.
It's really anybody's game right here right now.
It really, really is. So I'm excited to see what Deadheads will bring to the table on game number 6 or game number 4.
And on a map like this, because Dashy had a really good performance there, tunneling someone out early, getting the camp on them in a 3-gen area with their Ruin Totem, they had such good value there. I'm not sure if Gothorgy, if he's playing, is going to get the same sort of setup or the same scenario. And on Ormond, again, because it's such a big map, survivors can split up and just pair up and do so many different things and run to like a corner of the map where it just wastes so much of the killer's time. I really think that, We Can't Loop has a good chance here to get like even the 3-man out, 4-man out.
Yeah, no, 110%. I think that Gothorgy is going to really have to pull out all the stops. No Trapper today, I don't think.
No, I was just about to say that before we were saying, if they do have a really dominant performance on Ormond, they might not need to bring out any really good killer and kind of just throw away one of their weaker ones. But I think they do need to bring in an equally strong killer. Maybe not Spirit, but it needs to be something more high mobility. I'm not sure if it's going to be a Nurse from Gothorgy, though. I don't think it will be.
Yeah, I actually don't know of all of Gothorgy's killers at this point in time, so definitely be interesting to see if it's Nurse, if it's Blight, maybe Twins. We could see Twins.
What would be funny? I know that Gothorgy is a pretty good Spirit. What if they respond with another Spirit? We're just going to have back-to-back killer games where it's the same thing. 2 Doctors and 2 Spirits.
At the end of the day, I would not be surprised to see that.
No, not at all. I think it'd be pretty funny, too. Another just kind of like a rivalry at this point. Like, I'm going to one-up you. No, I'm going to one-up you. No, I'm going to one-up you. It's just going back and forth saying that constantly or something.
Honestly, I would love to see it, and I just think that both sides have played really, really well overall. So, been an amazing matches watched thus far.
Yeah, they both did what they could. I think the really big mistake from Deadheads there was not realizing, crap, there's a 3-gen right by Shaq with the Ruin Totem, and Haley's there, who didn't have DS. We're kind of boned right now. We need to send in a 2-man rescue crew. We can't be on gens right now.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that evaluation. So, if you had to guess, you were close last time saying Spirit, or saying Nurse instead of Spirit. If you had to guess for game number 4, last guess, what's it going to be?
I'm saying Spirit. I'm feeling a return Spirit. I don't know why, but I think they're going to do a return Spirit. It's Gothorgy, so he has that in his repertoire of killers that he uses. I think he can do a Spirit here and do it well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it makes sense to respond with something strong. You don't go again, I know you can't really do a Doctor, but you don't go on the Doctor tier killer on this map. It just doesn't work. Against a good Survivor team, that is. But what do you think, Guilt? Who do you think it's going to be?
So if I'm guessing here, I think if I had to guess, honestly, we're probably looking at... I don't know. I'm feeling Twins for some reason. I don't know why.
Twins?
Yeah, I'm feeling Twins.
That's interesting, actually. Because if you have Charlotte kind of sentry one area of the map, and then have Victor go out and get down, but then again, it's so big that all you do is when you want to reset, you go way to the other side of one map, reset, and you play an extremely slow game. And if you go down in a corner, Charlotte's going to have to walk all the way over to you. So, I don't know if it would be worth it on this map.
Yeah, I guess if you were to have to do that, you'd probably have to play the middle for the most part. And unless you get into a similar scenario to what we saw there with Dashy on Spirit, where you kind of get that 3-gen setup where that's so tightly packed. To be honest, it's very rare to see that those gens so jam-packed in that one corner.
With the Ruin Totem, and then another Survivor there is Christmas.
Man, so, it was probably the prime scenario for Dashy, to say the least.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was actually kind of drooling, like, oh, this is beautiful. But I don't think it's going to be Twins. Twins is a good killer. I would have played Twins on Wreckers. Wreckers, Twins is really good.
I could see that. So, I don't know. If I'm picking, my 3 guesses, I'm thinking Nurse, Twins. Nurse, Twins, maybe Blight.
Hmm. I'm sticking with Spirit. I'm sticking with it.
All right, all right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. We are currently in lobby, currently waiting for We Can't Loop survivors to join at this moment in time. Well, once they get on in, it'll prove interesting to say the least. To what Gothology will bring to the table. I mean, it's funny to say it, but Gothology is almost known for bringing killers that are less than expected at times. So we could also be way off the mark here.
Yeah, we could. I mean, again, with a game, because it's so close, with something riding on the line, I think you bring out some kill you're comfortable with. And just because of this map in general, you could be really comfortable with a Doctor per se, or you could be really comfortable with a demo. But on this map, it's not going to work out. It's just, it won't really work out with its size if survivors play it well. Now, if the survivors don't play it well and you get, some good moments, you can do well with any killer on any map, really, right? But if the survivor, makes minimal mistakes and, just using your power, it's not as powerful, you won't get as many downs as fast on Orman with such a big map and, a decent amount of filler pallets. So I think it has to be response with another A or S tier. So it just limits it, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
If they bring anything else, you're going to hear a gasp from me. And I'm going to probably be stuck in silence for a moment while I consider what they're doing.
Yeah, no, that is fair. That is fair. I mean, we've seen some upsets, some matches where, it seemed like some teams were in striking distance and then some teams do not bring what's to be expected and they end up regretting it. I guess we'll have to wait and see what Gothology has in store, right? And if an instance they surprise us today.
Exactly. I mean, I would be happy with the surprise. I mean, I'm not the one playing him and have this game on the line, so I'm happy to be here and watch whatever unfolds. So
Absolutely.
I guess we'll see.
With that being said, talking about what's on the line, for those who are new and joining us for Champions of the Fog, I actually do want to mention a huge thing that happened within the first round. Our prize pool is actually already at $39. Moving into round number 2, and I already saw some more subs today. So for those who are not aware, your viewership actually does matter more than you might think it does. All the ad revenue goes towards the prize pools. 60% of subs, or rather 40% of tier 1 subs goes to the prize pool, and 50% of your bits goes to the prize pool. So really awesome stuff to say the least, and very thankful. I know the players are as well, and kind of tells you what's on the line, right?
Yeah, and this is going to grow throughout the season. It's going to be interesting to see where that leads the very end.
Absolutely. No, I love seeing that, and I think personally, not to pat myself on the back, it was a really good idea to kind of make it so like, hey, your viewership matters. You're supporting the league, but you're also supporting your fellow players with that, and really does up the stakes in some way when it comes to the competitive aspect of, hey, we want to win, but at the same time, still have fun while doing it.
No, exactly. It kind of builds community. And I might say they subbed out somebody. Now they've got Egregious in there. Egregious. I played with Egregious recently. She's a ton of fun to play with. Egregious, Wakanda, I both know them quite well. And I've played with Chicken and Goated a few times as well. So honestly, and I've played with and against Gothology a ton. So this is just like a really fun set of games for me to see here. I really don't care who wins because it's going to be a good game either way.
Oh yeah, 100%. I have thoroughly enjoyed this match between We Can't Loop and Deadheads. A lot of great moments and a lot of great plays overall. So definitely is going to be exciting to see who ends up on top in the end of all this.
Yeah. By the way, did anybody clip my thing with the Star Wars meme? I need to know if someone clipped it. I need to copy and
I
that.
do not know. Thankfully, it's not going to be a long video, so if you do want to go through and clip it yourself, I'm sure you'll be able to.
I'll have to. I eat my own words right there real fast.
But with that being said, I do believe that Pilacito will have some information for us in just a few moments.
Maybe.
I see the unmute.
I see too.
I muted the mic, not the headset. All right, we're all good to go.
Awesome.
Actually, I'm sorry. One second, I just noticed something.
Back to killer I go.
Watch them just ready up at that very instant when you tried to do that.
I mean, it's happened before. It'll happen again. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
That's why we want to double check, and so far, at least at first examination, everything's looking good, I do believe. Maybe I'm incorrect. Prilasito, let me know if that is not the case.
I'm just waiting on Egregious's new build.
Oh, gotcha. Egregious is switching some things up. Fair, fair, you know. Want to finely tune before you jump on in, as this is, well, for all the marbles.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, can we add a function where you can donate your iridescent shards to people? Like, excuse me, are you the bank?
Yeah, I may or may not be using them right now to simply level up Pinhead. What I did literally is I saved up 1 million, used 8,000, got another 600,000 blood points, and leveled up Pinhead on day 1. So yeah, nope, that is a thing right there.
All right. Well, if I need some sort of loan, I'll know who to go to.
But I believe we are good to go. Correct me if I'm wrong, Prelaw.
All right, we're all good now.
Awesome,
Let's do
awesome.
it.
In we go for game number 4 of We Can't Loop versus Deadheads, Division 1, Round 2 of Champions of the Fog.
The fog. It sounds so cool when you said that. All right. I had to point that out.
I appreciate it, I appreciate it.
All right. Loading in now. If I'm wrong again, that would be sad. But if I'm three of 4, I'm going to be happy.
I'll have to wait and see. Could be quite the surprise. And, like I said, Gothargy is known for kind of doing what Gothargy wants to do.
Yeah. I mean, bring out that Trapper.
I mean, to be fair, Trapper at that point makes sense, but Trapper now, man, that would be a statement.
No.
That would be a statement.
That would be like, I'm going to basement trap all of you. Just watch.
I look forward to it, Domo. You know, do the final match. It's, you know, all for Domo as killer, brings Trapper. Sounds good.
But if it's not Spirit, I'm going to be confused, bewildered. You're going to hear that gasp. I did promise that. So, let's see. I'm preparing my voice. Hold on. Ready?
Oh, what just happened here? I don't have the option to jump and match. Was there a DC potentially? Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
I mean, so, to be clear, it was a... Interesting. What happened here? Maybe we could get a quick heads up from Prelaw. That would be appreciated. I think maybe wrong map from Gothargy. Yep, wrong map from Gothargy. Yeah. Uh-oh. So, with that being said, you know, we will be resetting. Obviously, did not get into the match. Or rather, if they did, they reset very quickly. Both sides do have a moment to change builds if they do want. Obviously, Survivor side can switch between them. Or if they want to jump on in, that is fine too. I'll give them a few moments in the meanwhile. Yeah, and Harley Quinn saying in the moment, he's an idiot, I swear.
Gothargy, my man.
I'll give them a choice here. If they want to ready up and go right on in, that is perfectly acceptable. If you guys want to switch things around last moment, just for the sake of, you know, having some mystery to the builds, that's fine too. But looks like both sides said, you know what, we don't care. Let's jump right on in.
Accidents happen.
Exactly. Yeah, I wish that there was a way for me to change the maps and confirm that. Obviously, we have Killer as host for a reason due to ping-related issues. But yeah, that would be nice if I could. You know, at least then the responsibility would fall on me and make it a bit easier. But Behavior has not really fleshed out Kill Your Friends all too much.
Bro, I don't think they've touched that or done anything with it. Even though there's leagues and there's various other things you can do with it, they don't even really care that much. They had the spectator bug for a while. They just...
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And, you know, I will say that I remember them getting data mined and seeing like some hints of them looking into like esports or competitive leagues of some form. So yeah, maybe there's something in the background that we're not aware of. I mean, I'm hoping so.
Honestly, that would be awesome if you could have like an aerial view at some point of like the whole map and where people are.
Oh, that would be lovely.
That would be so cool. You can kind of see, oh, you see the spread. You can instantly go over to this other tab. Oh, you see the spread on the survivors and where the killer is. You know, probably gonna do this. And then you just go back to killer real fast. You know,
I just wish that they would give us a heat map of every single map and where every single gen and totem spawn is, rather than us having to make our own, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, that would be preferable, but alas, there's too many things that we can list that would be preferable for this case.
But with that being said, this time around, we should be good to go, and we're jumping on in, and it is Gothergy as the pig.
I did see the add-ons before, but I'm going to gasp anyways.
So what are your thoughts here, Domo? What are your thoughts?
I think this gives We Can't Loop a really good chance of winning here. If they prolong this first chase, this could be really bad for Gothergy, because it really depends on Pig how early that first down is. And this might be a early first hit right away. That is solid. I might have to take my boards back here, but if they can prolong this chase right now and just make it go for 2 or 3 gens, because it is Pig, right? Then you can really just make it that those cats... Oh, and there's the early down. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's a really fast down.
I mean, you're 100% right with your evaluation, because Pig is kind of like Oni in a way, because your first down, your first hits are really what do matter, and if you are able to get them in quick succession, that's what's going to change the pace of the game.
And again, as soon as this person gets off hook, egregious, it's going to be an active trap, and there's going to be potential that they don't get to the box, or that the Pig can push them off the box. It's going to be really tough here. They need to just get back in this. They need to push gens real hard on this Pig. Again, Pig doesn't have any mobility. That's why I was surprised. No mobility on this killer, really. But all these survivors getting kind of caught out in bad spots and allowing Pig a first free hit, which allows them to kind of panic around a little bit. And again, another good mind game from Gothergy, but whiffing a tiny bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were able to really apply a lot of good pressure. I'm not sure if you did notice, there was a scream at the point of unhook, meaning that will make it, or not will make it, make your choice, rather, is active.
I mean, tomato, tomato. You know? They do something when someone's unhooked, you know? Oh, and getting caught out of position, another whiff comes through, and that's going to get the pallet in time. Oh, that's unfortunate. Gothergy really needed that down right there, but kind of dead zones them to an extent here. But I do think they will make it to the pallet regardless. But oh, the down comes through. I think that might have just been a pain thing, because Gothergy is EU.
Yeah, and I will notice there that that first hook has, or that first hook and bear trap has now been taken off now. So that does mean that they have lost a little bit of that gen pressure that they had prior. Though, looks like Iverson will have an active bear trap on their head at this point in time.
And might I say something else? That haunted ground, it came off, but that person was already injured at that point, but they committed to it, and they're probably not going to get any haunted ground value from here on out.
I mean, I wouldn't say it too soon. I mean, there's still 15 seconds, and there's a lot that you can do in that time, so it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Honestly, if I'm the survivors, I just don't even touch a gen. I make sure I'm right by a pallet. I make sure that I'm not about to get down, because you don't want to give the Pig any extra room, and that person's not in any danger of going into second stage right now. Sprintper is coming in through the A's, doing a really good job, going to get down to Shaq, but Shaq not even touch. I mean, just going to instantly go in and throw it down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a safe play here, is you want to pre-jump against Pig. You want to ensure that you're not getting down. You don't want those bear traps being active, because that's where that RNG really comes into play, and it can really be painful for these survivors with Ruin still up in the game.
Yeah, exactly. I might just say as well that Egregious did get off her bear trap in a pretty good amount of time, it seemed there. So the RNG was in their favor, but let's see what happens for Goated Iverson. There might be 3 players only that are going to be able to focus on saves and gens at this moment. So depending on how long it takes.
Yeah, it's going to be something where, on one hand, in comp, you really do want to tunnel and you want to get that first fire out of the game. But the thing is that Pig almost forces you to do the opposite, right? Where you want to get that bear trap on, and then you kind of want to leave them where they're not able to do much, and that make your choice does result in a down.
Yep, and oh, it was so close to running out, I might say that. I think that Wakanda should have just dropped that earlier in advance, knowing that they were exposed, and been like, no, I'm not risking that. I'm just going to drop that way early before you can even touch me with your EU thing.
Now, 110%, you really want to play it safe in those scenarios, whether it be haunted ground, make your choice. When you see that exposed timer, you just want to waste as much time as you possibly can.
Especially with high pain in these scenarios as well, where those Pokos hits can really come to effect. Well, and that slug was honestly didn't get to the pallet. What? They just kind of run it out in the open here, and that's going to be a free down.
Yeah, I don't know what the play was there. It very well could have just been that they did not even realize that it was in that area. And that there will be the last bear trap for the pig.
But they've got max value to this. Right, so if you think about it, there are 2 gens left. But right now there are, I was going to say 3 traps on people's heads, but now Goated has gotten the trap off. There are only 2 traps on people's heads. They got the heal off while their trap is not active. So now they just need to maybe just 99 the gens or get them close to finishing and then get those traps off before they pop to reduce that RNG.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting scenario for them, to say the least, on what the pig decides to do here. Because I think now with no bear traps in hand, you kind of go on the full tunnel game. If anything, I might have said to go for Wakanda and really slow them down from being able to get bear traps off their head. But it looks like they see blood on the ground going for that unhook, but don't commit to it?
They think they had some sort of different idea, or they thought the survivor was going that way somehow, but they seem to be a little bit lost right now.
Yeah, I think they may have been trying to track where that survivor went, and I think that they're at the hook as we speak, but, none the wiser to Gothergy at this point in time.
Yeah, Gothergy, I can draw you a map, bro. Hold on. I know where they are.
Yeah, I'm almost fairly certain, but Chicken Pickle does end up going to second stage, so maybe not. Maybe Gothergy made the right call there and knew something that we didn't, because I fully expected Lori to be on that hook.
I think he just cut them off and they decided, I don't think I'll make it to the hook in time, so he probably just saw something I didn't. Again, I didn't have the sound, so I couldn't hear exactly where they were. But this is a very unsafe pallet. They will not be able to get away from this. Yeah.
And we see a attempt there at that mid vault, but it's just such a painful spot to be in. Yeah, you can get the fast vault, but you need a lot more distance to make it work for you.
100%. And right now, they are struggling to do gens. It's been at 2 gens for a hot second here. Goated Iverson is going to be on death hook. And Chicken Pickle is also going to be on death hook right now. So he just needs to get one of them, and that's game over. And there's the ace.
I think this is the right move here. Go for ace, slow down the game, and I will say Ace will have seen their ruined totem in that scenario. So I imagine a call-up being made, but who knows if they're going to be able to really make use of that information.
It won't matter. Here comes the kill. The first kill of the game with 2 gens left. This is messy. And right now, the save has still not come through. Okay, there it is. I was about to get worried. There's
the unhook on Goated Iverson. We did hear Wakanda scream from Make Your Choice. But I think the right move here is go for Iverson and go for another death hook. And just kind of use that exposed status effect as a deterrent.
Did they just get stuck on the edge of the wall, or are they trying to bait a DS?
I think that they may have been, maybe last second went to bait a DS, and they're out of position for it. And at this point in time, Wakanda's bear trap is going to be active, so they have 2 minutes and counting to get that off before the bear trap does pop.
I might say they have a bit of an upper hand right now. There are 3 people alive as opposed to when there were 2 people alive in the last game for when there was only 1 gen left. And he is chasing Egregious right now, so this could be really a chance for Wakanda to get that bear trap off the head. And by the way, Goated is off the ground as well, so they have 3 people in the game right now. 1 being chased, 1 potentially on a generator, 1 getting that helmet off. So I think, honestly, We Can't Loop might be able to get that last gen done.
Yeah, it's definitely possible in this scenario. There's no doubt about that. And I will mention that the only person who has not been hooked at this point in time is Wakanda. So, you know, if that bear trap were to go off, it will be considered a Mori, so it'll be a full hook and 2 progressions for it.
It's been going for a hot second as well, so they might be on the last box or something. If Gothergy can find out which box that is, which right there, I think we saw it.
Let's take a look.
No, those different spots.
And just in time.
Connor's probably sweating a little bit right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, Tampered Timer is such a nasty add-on to go against.
Might I just say, right there, survivors, please wait until you see the pallet animation break.
Yeah, it's just so common for them to move.
And that's happened a few times already in this series, where the killer baits it for a millisecond, they drop, and then they just go in after them real fast.
Yeah, it's definitely very messy to say the least, and just is not the right move in the slightest. And we do see Iverson there on Death Hook. I think Gavaji has the ability to win this now.
I do too. Chasing Wakanda now, who is not injured though. I will say that, and dropping that pallet early. I mean, these are risky ones. And with the EUP, he could have swung around that corner real fast. Never maybe known.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Even let's say theoretically, I'm kind of trying to take a look at this real quick. Theoretically speaking, if an instance, let's say that We Can't Loop is able to get the last gen and 1 escape, that's going to put them up to 109 points. However, if Gavaji is going to hook and face camp here, that puts Deadheads at 123. All Gavaji needs to do is hook face camp, call it a day.
I mean, may as well do that right now, but is he aware of that factor? And again, make your choice coming in so clutch against Wakanda. Just getting that insta down on a really good survivor, and this is the end of the game right here.
Yeah, 110%. I think what we saw earlier was Wakanda or either Iverson, I forget who it was, picking themselves up with Unbreakable. So at the end of the day, if they hook, you know, Egregious here, that's going to be Death Hook. The only concern I would have here is that Wakanda is able to escape your hatch, but that's not going to be enough points to secure We Can't Loop the win.
No, I'm pretty sure Deadheads wins this right here, and just, they didn't have a great start. I think that was the whole point. They got too many traps on, and there was like 2 gens left, and they had like 3 traps on people's heads at that moment. Pig was in such a good spot. That's the point where you don't want it to get to in comp. You want to make sure that the Pig has the most trouble getting that first down, so that there's maybe 2 or 3 gens at least popping. You waste a ton of pallets, but it doesn't matter because she relies on those traps, and didn't happen. So that was the main factor. They just didn't play safe enough. They were too risky on outside gens. They weren't running fast enough. The communication maybe just wasn't there. And I feel bad for them. They kind of came close again. Another team that got down to 1 gen. But this was a significantly lower tier killer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is probably that Ruin just never got cleansed, and Ruin against Pig, Ruin needs to go.
I'm sure they should have called that out as well. Is they ran in that TNL area so many times. So,
yeah. So maybe just poor communications, or maybe just they were not able to see it while they're in chase.
That, or they just, I don't know, they just didn't prioritize it. I don't know. But yeah, it was a fun series for sure.
Absolutely.
What's the final score going to be?
Yeah, so with that being said, good games well played to both teams, but the final score ends up being We Can't Loop 100 points exactly to Deadheads 127.
Dang. I mean, it wasn't a blowout. It was a close series all the way through. A very fun series to watch for sure as well. So, good job to both teams. It was a hell of a game.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I will say apologies to the beginning of the match. Domo, you may have not been aware, but it was a bit of a DVD podcast. Thankfully, do a pretty good job of explaining, but we did get it switched over. Was after the first down, to be fair, really quick first down too. But we were able to watch the rest of the match. So, once again, apology for that, but we will call it there for the night. And once again, GG's well played to We Can't Loop and Deadheads. And Domo, as always, if everyone wanted to go say hi to you next time you are live, where would they find you?
Well, it's going to be all for Domo on Twitch, just all for, and then the Domo. It's not hard to spell. If you misspell it, you don't deserve to watch me anyways. I'm sorry.
In fact, actually, I do have your name over in the title, so everyone definitely make sure to just copy and paste that, as Domo is my co-host today. And as always, I am your commissioner as well as primary host, Guildspire. You can find me over on twitch.tv/Guildspire. I'll be live tomorrow, starting off our Hardcore Killer Challenge with MMR, so definitely will prove to be interesting. Well, that being said, that there will be the end of Division 1 Round 2 for Chamber of the Fog, and we will see you next Saturday.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye!